as we continued in our lesson over the first couple problems, we started to look at some other ways that we could identify when we had a quadratic, and we looked at graphs and tables. As you can see here on the left in the table, we started to look for patterns, and we saw that as the length increased by 1 meter each time, we saw that we had growth in our area until we got and reached a certain point. That point was 36, and many of you identified that it started to go back down again. So we can look at a table to help us give some ideas whether we have a quadratic by the increase of 1. As this grows and then it stops, then it starts to go back down again once it reaches its highest point, which mirrors the image that we see here. We have a different scenario in which we have growth, and it's growing for the area up to 400, and then it started to work its way back down. And as we discussed in class, we were able to make some observations because we could tell right away if this was the highest point, then we knew that we had, if we followed it straight down, we had a rectangle of 20 by 20. So we knew that that was the largest rectangle we could get, and that gave us a situation where we knew then that the fixed perimeter had to be 80, because 20 plus 20 plus 20 would give us a perimeter of 80. So we knew that we had 20 on each side. So understanding that, then that could help identify some other things. Like if we had a 5 for one length, we knew that we had to have a situation what our corresponding lengths would be so that we had a rectangle that still had the perimeter of 80. When we came over here, we could see that when we identified things on our table, that 1 times something gave us 11. So we knew that this had to be 11. So we knew that we had a 1 by 11 rectangle. 2 by 10 would give us 20. 3 by 9 would give us 27. So we were able to look at both from a table and a graph to kind of look at what type of rectangles we had with the fixed perimeters. So if we knew that this was a 1 by 11, that we had a perimeter of 24. And then we could see that that held true because a 2 by 10 gave us 12, and then if we doubled it, we would get 24. A 3 by 9 would give us a 12, which also doubles to 24, and so on. So we could test it out so that we knew that, hey, we had a 6 by 6, or a square that had each side of 6. So by both looking at tables and graphs, we were able to identify what type of rectangles we had, what their the perimeter or the fixed perimeter was, and what the highest or the largest area that we could get from each.